And here's that moment. Let's make sure that that pectoralis doesn't crowd up too much down there. If it's up there, we need to make sure that we are compensating with the bicep. So the bicep needs to show a little bit more of its volume. A little bit of form in there to suggest the brachialis. A little bit of form in there to suggest the lateral head of the tricep. Let's get the medial head. I really need another group. It's not going to be easy. It's not worth it just yet. I would not at this point be entertaining Dynamesh. Just so you know. You ask why? Why would I not be entertaining Dynamesh? Well, the arms would get fused to the side of the body at this point. Never really a positive thing. Generally considered annoying, bad, and difficult to remedy. And also there's no need. Coracobrachialis. The real brachialis. Problem with sculpting like that is that you can really start to increase this volume. So you have to really be looking around, and you have to quite frequently switch over to the Alt key so that you're adding and contouring back down. For me, it's a 50-50 when I do that. Okay, but we're in okay shape, I think. All right, the key elements are that we've got the tricep. Let's do this in red. We've got the tricep coming down. We've got it distinguished from the brachialis on this side. We've got it distinguished on the inside. We have a sense of the long head. Okay, that's been indicated in there. We have the lateral head and its muscle fibers. Okay, we have the medial head and those fibers. And they're all coming into a relatively static tendinous area. So we have that. We have the bicep. We have this interior. And we're looking good, I think. You know, I mean, there's some... Don't look at the legs. Don't look at the lower arms. In fact, let's hide them. Because this makes it look better, except for those forearms. All right, you remember the groupings. What are these called? Okay, Elliot Goldfinger's book is where I heard this. Okay, he probably heard it from somewhere else, but ridge. They're the ridge muscles. What are these guys down here? They're originating from the lateral epicondyle, and they're going to your fingers. Well, they're going to be the extensors. And if you have extensors, if you're extending, then you're also flexing. So the flexors they're on the other side. It's a couple of divisions. I tried to make this really clear before, but I may not have. So one division that you need to be mindful of is the ulna. The ulna is a division. It divides extensors, flexors. It's pretty simple. Okay, the other division is you need to look from where the bicep is and then go down to the thumb. And that's going to separate the flexors from the ridge muscles. Head towards the thumb. Just know that you got to go for wherever that thumb is. And so those are going to be the guys I start to style first. I'm pressing Alt right there. Okay. Find that lateral epicondyle. Okay, that's basically parts of the humerus that then the ulna is connecting from. So you want to make sure you know where those condyles are, because that's where these extensor muscles are going to originate from. And then I'm just drawing straight lines. I want to get one that's going to kind of creep over the ulna a little bit. That's going to be the extensor carpi ulnaris. Then I'm going to get another one. So coming straight down from the ridge muscles, extensor carpi radialis brevis. So we have the ridge. Okay, and then let's divide this into 3. It's not really just 3, but let's just divide it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is going to be the, let's do pin. This is going to be the extensor carpi radialis brevis, extensor carpi ulnaris, extensor digitorum. Extensor digitorum minimi, little tiny offshoot of the extensor digitorum. Okay, the digitorum connects to the digits. It's all of these guys are flowing down to these non-existent fingers that we have down here. The other two are basically connecting to either side of the wrist. And Elliot Goldfinger's book's got a great illustration. Basically shows you something like this, a box, and he says, well, you've got the digitorum here, then you've got the extensor carpi radialis brevis, and then the extensor carpi ulnaris. And then you've got the exact opposite in terms of the bottom side with the flexors. So I'm going to just keep those 3 forms in mind. And round this out. So get the digitorum ulnaris brevis Alright, that's starting to look like what we want. Doesn't hurt to put a little bit of a wrist. Let's get the suggestion of the radius in there a little bit. And I'm going to put this nice little form in here, this ramp that really does wonders when you're creating your hands. So I'm separating things. What am I separating? What are the elements I'm trying to emphasize here, and what are the elements I'm de-emphasizing? If you know your anatomy, you're sitting there and you're seeing that, okay, right here I got a little hit for the radius. Right in here I want to make sure that the ulna gets that little notch. You can see it. I mean, if I'm thin, I see that all the time. And then I'm going to just dig in a little bit underneath it, you know, because that's what happens. The form kind of falls naturally below it. And you get this nice squared off edge. That's kind of nice. It doesn't go far. In terms of the whole width, this is bone, the whole length, and this is muscle. So I didn't take that very far up the chain. Alright, and there. Definitely feels like a wrist much more now. Offsetting the fingers, everything else. Just that one little change made a big difference in how you perceived that. So rewind, watch what I did there. Okay, add the forms, forms, forms. Okay, don't want to get in and do too much, but I do want that thumb to have a little bit more notoriety. So I've got a couple of planes that I'm emphasizing. Okay. Okay, let's get some pollicis muscles in there. Okay, and these guys basically head towards the thumb. So they'll head towards either side. And then they create the snuff box, where all manner of things were done in the past. And the present, I imagine. Little snuff box there. Put in your tobacco. And then let's offset the flexors. You notice we haven't even got to the flexors yet. So I'm going to just offset the flexors from that bone, and then also from the ridge muscles. It's not the correct offset. I need to come back in here and add a little bit. And take off and flatten a little bit. But it is an offset that you need. Okay, same thing here in terms of the flexors. We're going to try to think about it in terms of 3. Alright, so I'm going to get the flexor that connects to the ulna. Okay, I'm going to have that kind of on the round side. And then I'm going to have the flexor that's connecting to the radius. So it's originating here, and then they're flowing down along the radius and to one side of the wrist. So you know that this portion is going to get cut off because it's flowing from that medial epicondyle. So that's going to flatten this, but as soon as I get close to the radius, then I'm going to be in better shape for that to be a more substantial muscle. Okay. The flexor digitorum. There's a lot of complexity with the flexor digitorum, but for now, let's not get into it too much. Okay, palmaris. Okay. And if we're in the ballpark, then we're doing good. Okay, I don't like how rigid that is. I really want to move those in. There. Yeah. Okay, but we definitely need some more volume here. Little squaring off. There we go. Best thing you can do is just get yourself as close as you can. Analyzing reference, things like that. And then there's always another tweaking phase. Okay, so there we go. That's a little section. And let's dive in to a little bit more, or let's take a break, then we're going to dive in to a little bit more with the arm and then a little bit more into the leg.